All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic show. We are greeting you from Greenville, North Carolina, WBISLP 106.9 on your FM dial. We are also on social media. We are GPAT 23 local access channel. We're affiliated there. We are Awesome Radio, YouTube, and Facebook. We are Roku television. Go in and look up our show. Let's talk real life with Miss Nada Manning, and you can find all of the episodes and you can go back through them and just have a splurge, a series. That's right. But thank you once again for joining us. And without a delay, I want to go ahead. I'm your coach, Vernon Garrison, and you will now get introduced to the host of the show, Miss Nada Manning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Hello, everybody. It is pleasure again. Here we are, as bubbly as always, trying to convince you all about these relationships and how you can enjoy them at your own pace. So we want to continue on with what love has to do with it. And I truly hope you all are not tired of hearing this topic because each week we put a different spin on it to try to make it more interesting because it can be. It can be very interesting. It depends on how you work it with your significant other, with your family, with your children, with your students, with your classmates, all of that. So relationships are relationships in all shapes, forms, and fashions. So we continue on, folks, as we talk about real life. Let's talk real life in today's terms. And we're going to have our favorite person to continue on. All righty, sir. You got
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've been chomping at the bits. My voice is slow and methodical because my brain is fast and furious right now. So I want to start the show with a honorary question, or it's sort of an assessment that we talked a little bit about the show before it came on. While you listen to the show, I want you to preface how you feel about your relationship at the moment. Now, is your ship sailing the seven seas? Uh, just going through the white cap waves, and you're winning every day if your relationship is challenged. Right now, your relationship is on the come up, is healing from various attacks. War, spiritual warfare is definitely something that has to be done. And all of our prayers and strength, it's with you right now. So we may approach some of these questions as as light as possible, but I do know that some of the viewers and myself, I've carried a heavy weight at times. I probably had a ball and chain on my ankle during the toughest times of my marriage formerly. So now I just wanted to keep that in mind. If you have a what you consider a wonderful, blissful love life right now, thank God Almighty. It's a lot of prayers that being prayed up and intercessory that's probably being done on your behalf, that you keep that footing, that you keep that smile, that love, that comfort zone that you in. I'm proud of you. You've worked for it. And now, today, we don't want to bring gloom and doom with some of the examples that we give, but I want you to be steadfast and study, staying under your pastor, your teacher, your preachers, because you, as if you got a gold mine, like you a bank, you got to protect what you have. And in some of us, the last thing I'm going to say before we get into the questions, You might protect what's there. What's left, it might be just some rubble, but it's yours. Uh, you might miss it even if that little bit is gone. So you want to protect what you have and fight for its rebuilding, its restoration, and healing. People do change. And you might say, that person will never change. Well, people get changed out here every day now. Don't get your head too big. You're gonna change one way or another. It might not be the way you want to get changed, or you don't wish anything bad on people, but the law of God and nature will hit you so hard. Okay, you can be chipped, you can be re-engineered. You might not like it, but you might want to volunteer for it. So praise God, you got what you got. Let's work with it. I'm gonna go at our favorite teacher, and I'm gonna hit her with, how important do you think, Miss Manning, goals are in a vibrant relationship or one that's not working so well? How important do you think goals are? And just name one or two goals that are good universal goals for people to want to achieve. And first, how important is the goal to set one? And if you have one or two you recommend, for a couple that's been together for a while, old school, done had kids, moved out the house, ain't got nothing to do, what would you recommend a good goal to be?
Well, if they've been together for a while, that makes a world of difference, because I'm believing that the longer two people are together, the more they learn of one another's behavior and habits. And I'm thinking during those many years that they have established what each one's interest is. For example, well, in today's time, because we're talking about real life, so I'm going to bring it home to today. There are many couples who have been together a long time and raised their children, and now spending time with their grandchildren or not. I think their goal would be to work together to help those children to become rounded in their thinking and bringing them up with like ideas, similar ideas. Might not be exact the same, but close. Put emphasis on what's important. Both grandparents can look at it, and the parents too, can look at the child or the children and see what their strong points are and focus on that together and say maybe they're good in sports, or maybe they like singing, or maybe they just like music, period. Well, I'm thinking that with that goal and that child's interest, and maybe that child might have more than one interest, who knows? But together, they can come up with some ideas to help enhance that child's growth in that particular interest that they have. But it has to be together. They have to be on one accord. The couple have to be on one accord. And like I said, the grandparents is a couple. And sometimes the parents, if both parents are involved with the child, then they are a couple. And if it's one parent, if it's a single parent, and then there's the grandparent, then the three of them can come together on one accord for a common goal to avoid that child from falling by the wayside or becoming disinterested, and one pulling one way and one pulling another is not a good thing. So find out what that interest is of that child, bottom line, and stick with that.
Okay.
Whether they like it or not, somebody might want to be a piano player. And I've known some couples that say, what? Not a good idea. So you got those kind of things, yeah. So that's my response to that question.
So that's abominable to set goals for your children, and that is a great inclusive family style, type of circumstance to set up. I think it's excellent. I believe that you can achieve a lot by impartation in your children, And, you know, as the words say, train up a child in the way that they should go.
Yeah.
And I think that that is absolutely awesome. What I want to ask you, the first part of that question is, how important do you think setting a goal is? Just to work on a goal
Well,
in a
if
relationship.
yeah, if you don't have a goal, then you're just out there willy-nilly it in thin air. You just trying this and that and the other and don't know which way to go, up or down, north or south, east or west. You're just all over the place because you don't have a goal. You don't have anything in mind in a direction of which way you're going. So you're just out there. Time is passing you by. It's okay to be like that for a little while. And that goes for adults too, not just young folks. To have a goal so that you can look forward to doing something and accomplishing something. One's goal might be to be a builder, to be a entrepreneur of some kind, to be a ball player. The sky's the limit. So I say it's very important to focus on what it is one wants to do. Sometimes we're asked that question in school, in middle school, or they used to be. Write a paper about what you want to do when you get out of school.
Well, I like I like the way you hit that, is to have a goal, because I want to rant on one part, and that is, if you don't, you're not living with a purpose. If you're not living with a purpose, and you don't help establish a purpose for your children and their lives, you're going to flounder around. And I think one of the things we might have made a mistake with is saying the Army might say be all you can be, but we can't generalize that and say, oh, son or daughter, you can grow up and be whatever you want to be. That with the choices now and in technology, then you don't want and the way that social levels of competition are out here now, you don't want to let your child float around in neutral zone too long. Go ahead and give them a direction and start training them. So, and it may not be what you want them to be, or they may go ahead and accept the path. Like you're in junior high school, you choose a path. You can choose a path of technology, or you can choose a path of education, maybe a doctor, a lawyer. You know, there's a couple of educational pathways that you choose in the 6th grade, and that's going to lead you all the way up through your graduation and on to college. So you see that path is being chosen for you. When you say, well, I don't want to tell my child what to do. Oh, yes, somebody's going to tell your child. Society is going to lead the way, and they're going to psychologically engineer you into something if you're not into nothing. So
that's why it's so critical to have the household, the home life of that child or that person, that young adult, that college student, to set the parameters of what you want to do, what you would like to do, and what you're going to work towards getting accomplished. Because like you said, if you don't have your mind, if it's not molded in their mind and in their spirit at home, then they'll go out and about and see all kinds of temptations out there and say, oh, you know what? I think I want to go do that. They had never thought about doing it until they saw somebody else doing it. And they may try it. But the thing is, as it is in life, we try things, but we need to be very careful. And that's what's instilled in our minds and hearts at home. Be very careful. Temptation is out there. I'm warning you, beware. And capital bold letters, beware of what's out there. Remember what you were taught at home. Stay focused. You see it and don't see it. If you try it, then you suffer the consequences. And hopefully those consequences won't be too bad for you. But that starts at home when you have it instilled in your mind and in your heart. It's embedded in your brain. Beware.
Let me hit something social here, and I don't want to get in trouble for this, so I want to say it the right way. as when it comes to African American or American African students. We in the 60s and civil rights and things of that nature, we wanted integrated schools. We got integrated schools without and so yeah, if we forced that on the school system, okay, I'm just talking socially here, not race, but we forced our children to go to school with a race that at that time was proclaiming to be our enemies. And we expected some fair results from integrating because now we can go to school with other children of another race. But why do we expect the children and the teachers of that other race, one, to understand us and to teach us the same way when we come from a different background? Why do we expect them, the outcome to be that within 100 years after that integration, that our goals were the same, but the results are different? We sent our children to a collective school system because we didn't have goals ourselves to create a system to teach our children. And so now, 100 years later, we're behind socially. Our vocabulary is lagging. And so we have expected different results when we were looking for something else.
Okay. And in light of what you're saying, it is in the best interest of that child to have been told, to have been warned, to have been informed, whatever verb you want to use, about what is going to be going on at that school before they get out there. Again, making them aware to beware of their environment once they get out there. That should have been coming from home so that they won't get blindsided when they get out there and get bullied and picked on and all this stuff, getting in fights because they don't understand the other race, so to speak. The other race don't understand them. So it's in the best interest of that child to be informed before they leave to go out to that school. And it's not a one-day information thing. It's a constant. Might not be every day, but at least 2 or 3 times a week. Sit down and talk to that child. Make that child understand if you can. Make them aware of what they're going to be facing when they get out there in that environment. Let them grow up knowing as well as seeing that everything is not going to be their way. And they are not to get all bent out of shape about it. What they do is come home and talk to the parents about it and ask them, what does that mean? Have an open conversation with the child, an open session to say what went on, why it happened, so that they can move forward and go back to school. And every culture should do that, not just our children, but the other children should do it as well, because they are just as oblivious of what's going on as one race is to another. A child is a child. It has nothing to do with color. They're not born to know these things. We parents are in a position to tell them what to expect. And if we don't know, then we go to somebody else who can tell, because sometimes we don't know either. We don't know everything, but we have a vehicle. We have some type of resource we can use to get some information. It might be somebody, it might be your dad or your mama way back when, to inform you of what's going on. So don't be ashamed to go to them. Don't think that just because you're a parent, you're supposed to know. No, that's not it at all. You don't know. You really don't know everything. You know some things, but don't be so proud that you can't be told or given some information so that you can pass it on to your child, because it's in that child's best interest that they know ahead of time. And they can say in their mind, to themselves, mom or dad or grandma and nana told me this was going to happen. So they won't be so surprised. And some children today are so smart. I mean, intelligent, not smart mouth, but intelligent to the point of they might just open up to that other child, that other race child, and ask a question. Well, why are you saying that? Now I might be in left field today because I'm not right directly in the school system anymore. But
Well,
some kind of way it can be communicated. Send a text to them and ask them, whatever it is. So because you have to go to school and you want to
yes.
go and learn something other than the violence and the nasty attitudes. That's not why you're going to school.
Mm-hmm. Well, we hit a hot button. We got on education. That relationship right there is going to determine how they have a relationship with their spouses and girlfriends on.
As they grow older, that's exactly right.
Yes.
You learn
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. That's the
Yeah.
environment that we're in today, and back in our day too. I mean, it's a different era, but bullying is bullying, and they just go about it in a different way today. I guess they do. It still hurt no matter how they do it.
Yes.
Feelings get hurt.
All right. So since we are being easy on the audience today, on their ears, I'm gonna step it up just a little bit. And this question right here to me seems to be lighthearted, but it's probably one of the most important questions that we have asked in the whole series. And that is, how do you foster friendship with your partner? How do you foster friendship with your partner?
I would say by being open, being what we call what one of our shows way back several months ago was being candid, letting your thoughts and your feelings. You learn each other by how they respond to you and how you respond to them in any given situation. Prime example: when you come into a disagreement, some people handle disagreements better than others. Some of us are kind of hot-headed. Some of us are quick-tempered. Some of us are easily offended. Some of us wear our feelings on our sleeve or on our shoulder. Well, you won't know that person is like that until something happens. And then when you're fostering it to make it a better relationship as friends, you want to be the more understanding person, the more level-headed person. Two hot-headed folks together ain't gonna work, people. Both of y'all can't be all hot and bothered all the time because nothing will get resolved and you're not helping each other. That is not fostering a good relationship. So one of you have to be easygoing or more easygoing than the other. Does not mean that you won't get bothered either, but you're more controlled with your behavior and your response to different things. And I believe, and I still say this, and I have always said this, a soft answer wins the relationship, wins the friendship, when there's a lot of havoc going on. A soft answer wins it over. You don't have to be all thrown and bent out of shape like the other person, because all you're doing there is throwing dots at each other. And that is not solving the problem. So when you're easygoing and soft and stern, if you will, but soft about it and not loud and out of control, that person that's bitter, I believe in my experience, have a tendency to calm down quicker when it's only that him or her that's getting belligerent. And a soft answer, a soft response, usually, I would say 99% of the time, works in the favor of making that fostering of that relationship more whole. And each time you run into something, differences or whatever, next month you might fall out about something again. Maybe it might be you on the other foot next time as time go on, because the hot-headed one is now learning how to be more calm also. So when the opposite person get all bent out of shape, and they probably won't be as boisterous about it, then you take turns and calming one another down.
So you saying being friends helps you in this?
Building your friendship. If you just meet someone for the first time, and say it's a coworker, And you have to work together because you have a project together. But you don't have the same mindset to get the project done. So you're constantly in disagreement with each other. That relationship will not flourish if both of the individuals are set on having it to go their own way. So when you're starting out, you're learning one another. You're learning how to handle that other individual. So as you learn, you do better. When you know better, you do better. Over time, it might take some longer than others. And then when whatever the project is going the way it should go, and you're accomplishing your goal in that project because your way was the right way to go, then the other person will begin to see that, should begin to see that, to say, okay, well, we getting somewhere here. We're finally being able to accomplish something. But you have to learn one another first. You have to learn the ins and outs of an individual first, the habits, the way they think, the way they do things. It takes time to learn that. So fostering, going back to your question, fostering that friendship with your partner. Like I said, a partner can be a coworker. I'm saying the partner is a coworker. So you're fostering it by nurturing it each time something come up that's against the contrary.
Okay. So teamwork makes the dream work.
Huh?
Teamwork makes the dream work. The soft answer turneth away wrath.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say something about friendship that's like putting money in the bank. And yours was immediate. Yours seemed to be immediate type investment, ROI, return on investment. Build that relationship. It helps your communication, helps your conflict relationship skills and everything. Well, I'm going to say put money in the bank for the long term. Your friendship may be the spice of your life, your companionship in your olden days, or that will give you longevity, being able to just be and able to sit with somebody and enjoy their company. When you're not out climbing mountains, shooting basketball, running a race of life in retirement, I believe that your friendship pretty much has been the essence of your life, and now it will pay off, because when you wake up in the morning, and I'm not talking about on your honeymoon, I'm talking about at the retirement age, you wake up and you look at that person, you've been looking at them for 40 years or 35 years. You're going to see a beautiful person when you see that beautiful smile. You're going to know who that person is, and you're going to have all of those memories together when you were young and have a vibrant family and children. So I say that friendship is going to be the love of your life when you don't feel like you're living a life of love, or you don't feel like you're living a life of lust and pleasure. Then and the teacher raising her hand. I never seen the teacher raise her hand unless she's telling you to be quiet. The teacher do that, she'd be like, no, you just hush.
So in light of what you just said, we're talking real life.
Sure.
We're talking real life, folks. I am your host, Nada Manning, on this show. And now Coach Garrison is now speaking of some various things of real life ways of looking at things. And you just described that longevity of that partnership, that relationship, that couple. What does one do when that is no longer in the case? What do you do when there was the 40 years have been cut off, either by death, separation, divorce, whatever. That 40 years have been cut off. And now that significant other that you had all those memories with is no longer around. I know I'm stepping on somebody's toes with this because it is real life, and we don't talk about just the sugarcoat sweet stuff. We talk about the bad stuff or the different stuff, the difficult stuff, because life is difficult most of the time. So what do you do when you're in that position of not having that long-term relationship anymore? They're no longer in your circle. They're no longer around. There's no way of them coming back around, especially if they passed on. So what do? Those years are gone. So you're now still talking about what? Fostering a friendship with a partner. Your partner is gone. So now you have to start over. Well, it's in your best interest to start over. I put it that way. Number one, because you are used to having that long-term relationship with your significant other who is no longer around you. You're not used to not having that kind of connection. It takes time to build that fostering. It's true. But my question is, what do? Do you just sit on it? Do you have yourself a pity party for ever how many years? Do you go on with your life and involve yourself with other activities to buy the time? And as you're doing that, you're meeting other people. The goal to that is exactly what I'm just saying. Your goal should be, because you are still here, you still have a life. So your goal should be to foster around and mingle around and get involved with other things. And you never know who you're going to meet, because the Lord did not mean for us to be by ourselves forever. And he did not mean for us to live forever. So somebody's going to leave somebody anyway. That's just the way it is. Hardly ever both of them go at the same time. It does happen. But most of the time, one goes before the other, many times. So that one that's left have a life left to live. How does one continue to go on with the life that they have left without those years of memories and pictures and family time and all of that? What? And no one have to answer this question. It's just food for thought, because many times that's what's going on right here today. There are many of us who our spouses have passed on, and the years have gone, and all we have is memory. So, I'm just putting that out there, folks.
Well, if you look at psychologically, the stress of buying a house, winning the lottery, losing a loved one, divorce, and a few other things are just about the same when it comes to trauma and the way that they affect our brains and our lives. And so I'm no way am I saying somebody that has passed away is the same way as somebody that has divorced. But I'm saying it's just that traumatic, and it's just that important that you live on with those situations. So I just wanted to add that little piece to it right there, because the friendship is definitely important. And I think we both agree that you have to foster that, because you will have some great history to reflect on, even if you're not with your spouse. I'm divorced. I was with my spouse since I was in the 6th grade. So, and then we stayed married 30 years. So, there were some great memories there, and ain't nothing bad that happened ever canceled out those memories. And so I think of the good times that, my son being born and all of those good things. And that's what I have of it. So the next question, ladies and gentlemen, is something that we probably should talk about, and I don't think we did. Number 24. What goals would you like to achieve? I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
but
we did.
Okay. And then I said how important. Oh, the one thing that I didn't say is about goals, and I got to do it now for the couples that's listening, the young couples. If you want and desire to achieve something, work it out with your partner so that 20 years from now, you won't say, well, you didn't want me to go back to school, so I didn't go. Or you're going to play the blame game. You didn't want to have another child, so I didn't have one. Well, if you wanted one that bad, or, if you knew you was going to change your mind, we should have just went ahead and had one. Or we know you shouldn't have bought that house if we bought it too early. looking at some of the things you might regret, to make sure that you give life a chance, and you're going to have to take a risk. Okay, so
One
we've had.
comment I want to make.
Okay, go right ahead.
One thing about fostering relationships,
Sure.
the goal, one major goal, should be the main goal. If you both are walking to please the Lord.
Is that the man of the house to set that goal? Because
this is the word of God in the Bible about being as one.
Yeah.
That we should acknowledge Christ in our lives together to help us to be whole, because we are sinners saved by grace, and we are all prone to mess up and make mistakes, no matter how in love we are. We talked about white lies last time. And that does not say, I'm not saying that it will alleviate messing up, but it will certainly help.
Is the woman, go ahead.
To men, knowing that both of you are trying to please the Lord in your walk together makes a world of difference when both of you are in the world together.
All right, let me say this. I'm gonna start something that's people want to know the answer to.
Yes.
Teacher, is the woman to follow the man's vision, or is the man to follow the woman? Is it one vision including both of them, or is it going? And if there's no room for both of them simultaneously to get done, do you go with the man's vision?
Again, like I just said, if he's going to be following what thus says the Lord and doing it that way so that they can both be blessed, then that's what the woman should be following his lead. Now, does it always happen that way? Of course not.
No, water it down.
Because the church is full of women these days.
You did good. We don't have to mention the alternative just to support the primary. I like your answer. It was great. We know that woman going to be right there to back that man up, and should be. In fact, she can do a better job. So that's, that goes to be, matter of fact, she's going to take your job if she feel like she's going to step up to the plate. But we already, so I believe the man's vision, just by the way we set up spiritually, I don't necessarily mean that socially. So some people change all that around, and that's they can change stuff around. But as far as it being productive, I think we're the closest to seeing what it's like to be a matriarch society where all the women are leaders. And I just don't know. We'll have to see for another 50 years. But I'm just not convinced. Because men see things practically in a certain way, safety, security, logical and illogical, and contingency plans, and women see things through an emotional thing. I'm not trying to symbolize or stereotype, but by nature, I'm a wait and see kind of guy.
Okay, so yes, I agree that the man should be the leader, but that does not prevent the woman from sharing and putting a bug in the man's ear at home in a particular situation where, honey, so-and-so and such and such, you ever thought about so-and-so and so-and-so? Because the man is not going to think of everything, nor is she. So I'm thinking that is a support system where she can back him up without getting in front of him.
Well, we know that exactly. That's the way God set it up. He gave them a plan, the woman to be the helpmeet for the man. And so she is all of the plan, pretty much the help. And I think a woman should wholeheartedly be invested in this man's vision and stay in that. And there are some other things that can happen on the side. But, and then when he said, okay, we're going to take up and we're going to do what you want to do. God gave you to me, and he gave me to cover you and protect you and provide for you. So now what do you want to do? I got you. I'm going to clear the way for you now. So that's all in that, what you just said, that direction, that making room for it, because we know we would not be who we are without women. As God said, it is not good for a man to be alone. So I'm just telling you, if it was a bunch of men here on earth, all we do is kill each other all day, and eat chicken wings at the doggone local bar and everything. So it won't nothing be good happening. The earth wouldn't get cleaned up. There'd be trash everywhere. We would never wash no dishes. So we'd have to make some dishes where we'd have to eat. You can eat the dish so you don't have to go wash it. So as soon as you finish dipping the wing sauce, the plate is made out of some type of edible arrangement. Oh, that's like an invention right there. A fruit bowl that's made out of fruit, so you can eat it and don't have to wash it.
If I did not think any differently, I would declare that you are definitely a wing eater because you bring up wings every week.
Well, wings symbolize anything. Wings symbolize good stuff. It symbolizes smoking. It symbolizes drinking. I believe that overeating is just as bad as somebody that's got a habit that's smoking, that's got a habit of overindulging in anything. And wings is the fattest part of the chicken. So it's probably one of the most unhealthiest small morsel that you can eat of the bird. So anyways, all right. Well, we had a light session. We got 10 minutes to talk about a very deep subject, looks like. If you can change anything about your past, what would it be? So I want to go into that question on the surface because I think we'll get a chance to talk about it on the next show if we do this. How important is your past to the future of the person that you're with? Does it matter if I tell you how many relationships I've had or how many people I've had sex with, how many people I've had fights with, how many people that have stole money from me, or how much of a victim I've been or predator? Does it matter? The past. Let's just hit the surface and we'll continue on.
I think it matters in a sense because it sets the tone of the type of person that you are. If you come from a past that's basically violent, then that kind of explains your behavior and your responses to many things as a partner. Because you were not exposed to a more kinder, more settled, more pleasant environment, then you most likely don't know how to behave in one. It's okay. Let's take a alcoholic family or a physical abuser. If you come from being physically abused, until you are exposed to a different way of life, that's all you know. So that's what you demonstrate when you're out and about among people. You're hot-headed. Anything anybody say to you the wrong way, you're ready to punch the lights out. Because that's the way you were brought up in a fighting environment. Alcohol and drugs and all of that will help a person be that way. Not all the time. You can come in from an environment where no alcohol and drugs are involved at all, but it's a lot of abuse going on. And abuse can be physical, mental, or emotional. So if you come from that kind of environment, I would say it's very, and if you're around that new partner any length of time, the frequency of you being around them, they will eventually see that kind of behavior from one time or another. And then they will say to that individual, that explains the way you behave. That gives a clearer picture of how you are because of what just happened. And that can go into a discussion with that person. So they may say, well, what do you mean? How so? So we remember what you just did or how you just responded or the tone that you used. That's the way you used to respond. So that tells me that that's the type of environment that you have come from. And that also, if we're going to be partners or friends or whatever, then that says something has to change. we might need to rethink these responses when different things happen in order for us to have, or whoever, to have a meaningful relationship or partnership or friendship. That's my answer.
If there was something that you could change before your partner knew about it, what would it be? If you could change anything about your past, what would it be? Tell it all.
I didn't answer that question.
What would you change?
I didn't just answer that question.
Yeah, I think you skirted around it. But what name something else that you would change then? Because I was looking at the question. You would change what? So that you would make it.
Okay. Are we talking about changing me as a person or the other person making a change?
Changing you.
What would I change?
Yes.
About me?
Yes. To guarantee, not guarantee, but to invest in a future relationship. That's the way to phrase the question. What would you change right now?
I would say showing real proof of availability to become one. Real proof of availability. And how so? By the way things happen, the way time is spent, suggestions of things to do, being available. Availability to become closer as partners or on a project. Availability to be able to work together more to get the project done, or working together, whatever it is the goal is we're trying to reach together as a couple, as a partnership, as a friendship. Then the availability, making yourself available, open to whatever suggestions is out there. I guess. I mean, that's the best way I can answer that question.
Well, that's a good question. You want to collaborate. You want to, join, communicate, collaborate. Be you put this in, I'll put that in. You want to make some equal contributions.
Accessible.
Yeah, being accessible. So that's great. I like that as something that you would change, because you just told us everything you're not. You're stubborn. You don't want to work with nobody, and now you want to change all of that so you won't mess up the relationship when you get into one. That's good.
Right.
That's good. That's good. All right. So let's look at my response, and just to plug in, if you allow me, for the next show. This question right here is leading me to ask the big humdinger, and that is the hook that I'm setting up for the next show. What about premarital sex? Should you have it? If you did, if you want to, if you could, or if you couldn't get in trouble for it, would you do it? What about it? So think about that, because we're getting high into the weeds on these relationship issues. And I want you to know, on the next show, we're going to start off with that question. But let me get back to the past that leads us to that other question. If you could change anything about the past, what would I change? I'm just going to tell you. I would probably learn how to pay attention to detail more. The small things in life that you think are small are huge to other people. Good gracious sake. Unless they've been gaslighting me all my life, it's almost like I feel like sometimes if I break a pencil, it's like I shot somebody. So that's gaslighting right there. So if your partner has got little teeny weeny issues and you're making mountains out of molehills, that is not what I'm talking about when I say paying attention to detail. But yes, I've missed some birthdays. I've missed an anniversary or two. I've missed a 1,000 thank yous. And I missed a few congratulations to people. So that's the one thing that I would change in the past that would surely punch a hole in a ship that's as big as the Titanic, and it will surely sink it. You get that leak just a little bit of time, you're going to be taking on water. And over the years, you're going to have to pay for that teeny weeny issue. So if you can learn anything from the tone of my voice, if you can change that while you got a chance, then you can change the future. You can avoid a whole lot of issues. How important do I think your past relationships are? I remember I said that, your body count. I'll say if you have slept with a lot of men or if you have slept with a lot of women, I think when your relationship is challenged, you are going to see those spirits come back and haunt you of what it was on the other side, and should you go back to the other side. So I'll say more about that in the other show. But I think that your past can reflect into your future, because there's trauma and there's a lot of things that go on with your past. And I think that you can address those things, or they're going to show up. You're going to try to hide them. I want to save some for the next show, but that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what I'd like to chat about. I'm not the boss here. The boss is on the right-hand side of the screen here, y'all. That's what you're looking at.
My turn.
Yeah, it's about time for the show, so I wanted to leave plenty of space.
Well, we got about 2 minutes.
Well, you already answered the question. That was my turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but you can say whatever you want to say, though.
Well, gee, thank you. Well, folks, it has come to that time where we have to end this show. And we want to say thank you. And hopefully you'll join us on the next show, which will be continuing on with what we have, as he said. So, Lord, thank you for this time. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for guiding our words and our hearts and opening up our minds and our ears to hear. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. This has been WBIS-LP 106.9. We'll see you
next week.
All right, now. Bye.